In Umudike kingdom, tradition was older than memory. The earth itself seemed breathed by the rules of the ancestors. Every king who had ever ruled the land had been chosen by the gods themselves, and the sign was unmistakable. When their true heir was born, the chief of the kingdom would appear in the sky, not in dreams, not in whispers, but in the open sky for the entire kingdom to see. An ancient spirit with a beard, white like moonlight, holding the sacred staff of authority. That was how Umudike always knew who would rule. But now something strange was happening. King Obinna had 3 wives, and each of them had given birth to a son. Strong sons, healthy princes, the kind of boys who should one day sit on the throne. Yet, every time a prince was born, the people gathered outside the palace and stared at the sky, waiting, watching, hoping. But the sky remained silent. No chi appeared, no staff of authority shone in the heavens, no sign from the gods. At first, the people ignored it. But after the 3rd prince was born and the sky remained empty once again, whispers began spreading through the land. Has the chi abandoned Umudike? Has the throne been cursed? The king himself grew restless. Sleep abandoned him. He summoned diviners from distant lands. He called priests from sacred forests. But none of them could explain the silence of the sky. Then one evening, something unexpected happened. Uloma, the king's youngest wife, stepped forward before the royal court. She had news. She was pregnant. Suddenly, the kingdom came alive again. Markets buzzed with rumors. Villagers whispered with excitement. Maybe the gods had simply been waiting. Maybe the true heir had not yet arrived. For 9 long months, the entire kingdom waited. And the king counted every single day, until the night the palace gong finally sounded. The child had arrived. But what the midwives were about to announce would throw the entire kingdom into confusion. The palace courtyard of Umudike was filled with people, villagers, chiefs, travelers from neighboring kingdoms. Everyone had come to witness the moment the chosen heir will be revealed. Inside the palace chambers, Uloma was in labor. Outside, the royal drums beat slowly. The air was heavy with anticipation. The royal gong echoed again across the kingdom, this time louder than the first. The child had been born. Cheers erupted across the courtyard. But the celebration did not last long. Moments later, palace attendants began whispering nervously. The king stepped forward. His voice was calm but commanding. "Speak," he ordered. The chief midwife bowed her head respectfully. "My king, Uloma has delivered safely." The crowd leaned closer, but the midwife hesitated. "My king, the child is..." The king's voice rose. "What is it?" The midwife finally spoke. "A girl." The courtyard exploded with confusion. A girl? That had never happened before. The throne of Umudike has always passed from father to son, never to a daughter, never to a woman. The elders shook their heads. The people murmured in disbelief. Even the king himself stood frozen. Then suddenly a voice shouted from the crowd, "Look!" Another person screamed, "The sky!" Every head turned upward, and there it was. The chief of Umudike appeared in the clouds. His beard shone like silver lightning. In his hand was the sacred staff of kings, and slowly The ancient spirit smiled. Thunder rolled across the heavens. The message was unmistakable. The gods had chosen their ruler, and it was the baby girl. The elders of Umudike gathered immediately. Never in the history of the kingdom had the chi appeared for the birth of a girl. But the gods had spoken, and no one dared question the will of the heavens. The child was named Onyemauche, a name that meant who knows the intention of the gods. Some people accepted it, others feared it. But as the child grew, strange things began to happen. At 5 years old, Onyemauche settled a heated quarrel between two chiefs with wisdom that stunned the elders. At 8 years old, a wild animal that no warrior could tame walked calmly toward her and bowed. At 10 years old, she won the kingdom of a terrible flood days before it happened. Her warning saved hundreds of lives. Slowly, the whispers returned. Perhaps the gods truly chose her. Even the three princes began to notice something strange. Onyemauche did not speak loudly, but when she spoke, people listened. Years passed, and the aging king began to understand something the rest of the kingdom was still afraid to admit. This girl carried the spirit of a ruler, but tradition still stood in her way. Only a man had ever ruled Umudike. So the council of elders was summoned for the final judgment. But before they could decide, the sky darkened once again. The chiefs gathered beneath the sacred ube tree of judgment. Tradition demanded that the throne pass to a man, but the gods had already broken the tradition once. As the elders began to debate, thunder rolled across the sky. The clouds opened, and once again, the chi of Umudike appeared above the kingdom. The entire crowd fell to their knees. Slowly, the ancient spirit lifted his sacred staff and pointed directly at Onyemauche. The sky burst into light. The message was clear. The gods had chosen their ruler. For the first time in the history of Umudike kingdom, the royal drums beat a new rhythm. Chiefs gathered from every corner of the land. The ancient crown of the ancestors was brought forward. The eldest chief raised it high for everyone to see. Then he spoke words that had never been spoken before. Today, we crown not just a ruler. He turned to the young woman standing before the throne. We crown the first woman king of Umudike. The crown touched Onyemauche's head. Thunder roared across the heavens, and the people bowed. From that day forward, the kingdom will remember her name, King Onyemauche, the girl the gods chose, the ruler whose destiny no one understood until the sky revealed it.